Um, you're going to hear the train, and I didn't think of it until now. But you are going to hear the train, and I apologize. But hey, I am a transformational coach and a narc coach, and I focus on black. My focus is on black women, 30 to 50 years old, who have survived a toxic relationship, toxic situation, have gone through a pivotal, life changing experience in their life, and they're trying to figure out how they can break patterns and generational curses and whatnot. I am that coach. I am that one to guide you on your journey. And I focus on black straight women, trans women, um, lesbian or bi women, because we are underrepresented. And as everybody knows, I can see, especially on TikTok, I don't like TikTok. TikTok subtly and insidiously um, perpetuates toxic videos that very seldom will positivity trend or will motivation trend, but something toxic in the black community always trends. That's how they get their money. And so anyway, I'm here for us because I survived what many of us don't. And I'm not saying anything about the women, who um, have gone through stuff, and some who are no longer here with us. But I think it's very important to start learning skills on how to identify spiritual warfare and who you are fighting and how to properly fight. My spiritual mother used to say, um, "You don't fight with your. It's a spiritual battle." She kept telling me this, and I didn't understand because I was very resilient, very vibrant, very strong for uh, the time. Absolutely strong. Could pick stuff up with nobody's, you know what I mean? Like washers, I would pick up by myself, stuff like that. So it's really, people say, oh, you're abnormally strong. So I wasn't understanding what she was saying. She said, first you got to get strong in the spirit. And so, which comes to kind of segues into the topic, the devaluation of black women. And I actually had made a 9 by 16 uh, thumbnail with a vampire Dracula, but I'll put it on my TikTok to advertise. But I was saying trending. This is starting to trend. It's trending with black men, narcissistic black men, who are, because if you, I know I'm going all over the place and I don't mean to, but this is extremely important because these women are, I'm listening to them, it's like, I don't even know why, so I'm here to guide you and tell you why. I'm here to get you to discover for yourself why you have black men in the black community trying to unalive as many black women as they possibly can, because that they know that your time is now, because you have carried the burden for over 2,000 years of their original sin. I mean, let's get to the truth. It's not popular. I can't post this all on TikTok because if I do, they're going to flag me. They've already flagged me twice already within like 2 days. And it's ridiculous. They say some content is racist or whatever within their community guidelines. It's like they're not even looking at it. You know what I mean? They're really not looking at it. It's basically if you mention names, if you mention dates, if you mention times that have already been made, somebody's made a pre-decision that, okay, we can't have that trending. People say, oh, well, TikTok gets things done. It doesn't. It gives you the illusion, and that's what narcissists are good at. That's what cluster B personalities are good at, giving you the illusion that you have power while taking it from you. And what sparked this was tonight, was not just what happened with me tonight. I'll go into that later. But what what I saw on TikTok with this woman named Ro, I forget her last name. She was hit in the face with a brick, and the cognitive dissonance of the narcissist in the community, and making sure that she doesn't get justice, because one thing people aren't realizing is that people are done in groups now. These demonic, these attacks are done in groups. There are strength in numbers. When these guys go to a jewelry store, they go in groups. When they smash and grab, they go in groups. When they go to, the retail stores and they steal luggage and steal whatever it is that they're going to steal, right? They go in groups. They go in mobs, because it's to what? Cause confusion and bring intimidation, to threaten with their presence. You see what I'm saying? People do not realize, but the world is, especially America, which had already been there since 2001, had already been, they had planned it, they executed it with 9/11, and then uh, they have been they have been nurturing it, you know what I mean? Like you tend to a garden, so they can get their utopia, so they can get their new world order, whatever. And I'm not trying to talk about conspiracy theorist things, but one thing that I realize is that you can't keep lying to yourself. I couldn't keep lying to myself about why I ended up homeless, about why I chose to let somebody in that my guides had told me, do not let this woman in. I chose to give in to the fear of being called crazy, whatever, you know what I'm saying, that, oh, you're using your intuition, right? Even by yourself. Unless you deal with those things and you know how to uproot them out of the garden of your mind. If you've talked to or read Dr., I think her name is Carolyn Leaf, Leaf, and she is Afrikaans, I believe, or some around that area. Let me not show I don't know geography. But, and she talks about how your brain, scientifically, your brain grows new cells when you do something new. So for kids who have lived in the ghetto and only seen concrete and only seen palm trees, that are rotting and withering and sick, because they're in LA, or they grow up and hearing gunshots, and you see how nonchalant they talk about it. Oh yeah, that's it, that's all right. When you introduce them to a neoclassical artwork, or when you introduce them to really something other, other than gospel, I mean, when you introduce them to classical music, or rock and roll or something, and all these different styles of music, when you introduce them to animals in real life instead of in the book or on TV, that creates another brain cell, that creates another tree that has been sprouted in your brain matter, right? It creates this tree, and after a while, the old way of doing things fades away. That's why God was telling Moses' wife, don't look back, or Lot's wife, don't look back. You're going to turn into a pillar of salt. Right? So I'm here to guide you, but this was really, because I'm seeing a lot of women, a lot of black women who don't know, right? They don't know what they're supposed to do. Like, how do I handle this? Why do I keep repeating the same relationships over again and putting myself through this? Because a lot of times, and I am included, and I've had to call myself out recently, I've become used to people at my job, the narcissists at my job, because it's part of it, right? But I don't want to do that, because why? I'm too afraid to go out on my own and really put 200% in, because of the things that have already happened, and now I'm a little bit afraid that they're going to happen again, right? Because when you start building, and you literally have somebody that is sabotaging you every step of the way for the 2 years that I was putting my brand together, right now I'm just maintaining, because I still get downloads, I still get epiphanies. God still says, hey, go share this, because I still care, I still have a passion for it. Right? And that's another topic within itself. And if you go to my TikTok, I've said, I've talked about it recently, actually. So what I'm getting, what I am seeing, and I'm hearing, and I'm watching, these are women who are not listening to their intuition. You've got to, and black women, the hate is real and it's frightening. It's horrific that they want to unalive us. So when I heard about Roe and I followed up in the update, and they had devalued this woman, they had made sure that wasn't going to get the money that she needed for her doctor bills, right? Because why? She didn't want to rely on a man. She was a lover of female company. Now, I'm not saying anything about her sexual orientation, but she loved being around other women and she loved that support and she shared it. And I'll tell you what, doesn't matter what race a narcissist is, but especially for black men, I have seen, and I saw it again tonight with two of them, where they thought that they was going to jump on me or get something, over on me or whatever they were going to do, and that didn't end up happening. But it was anyway. So but especially in our community, see, it's the 100th monkey syndrome, and people watch what black people do, and not saying that black people like me, you, if you're watching this and you're black American, it's not saying, because blackness was anybody who was dark. So there were black Indians, there were black uh, uh, Japanese, Korean, right, and black Hindus, right. We're talking about this. So it is narcissistic for black people to be like, oh, we created everything. We did not. We did not. And we really have to understand that. You have to die to everything that you think you know about yourself. And we really have to stop holding on to things or parts of history that never belonged to us, so that we're not suffocating the people who are, it's now time, their season, to have their voices heard and to get their recompense for what they got, what was stolen from them and their ancestors. Okay? So, but anything was black. So, but when you have, so it's the 100th monkey. And in this case, black men, American men, are trending in it because it's like a game. That's what it feels like. It feels like a game. It feels like, survival of the fittest. Like, okay, well, since you're not going to conform, and I don't know who got it in their heads. I remember the guy with the website talking about, we have to, if since the black woman will not submit to us, the only thing is to unalive her. And what is happening? This is mostly on the East Coast or the Southeast, or the, yeah, I think Southeast, yeah, Southeast. Um, that where a lot of these beautiful black girls, and even in LA actually, where they were beaten and raped. So somebody is beating and raping these women in LA, and they're black, right? I read an article that from Chicago, that these two Mexican women were trying to unalive an 11-year-old black girl who was walking her dog, trying to get out of their way for Mexican Independence Day. So there's a trend that has been, the precedent has been set by black men. It was a call for help to other narcissists of other races, to help them, from what it seems to me. Write in the comments if you agree or disagree. To unalive black women, to devalue black women, to make black women submit to narcissistic, sociopathic patriarchy. And it breaks my heart. I had to start blocking a lot of the videos, because once you look at a video on TikTok, it feels that that's what you want to watch, and then it keeps bringing the same topics up. I don't want to see dogs being, unalived. I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to hear about children. It's not that I don't want to support, but if I can't do anything, God hasn't called me to do anything, then I'm not equipped to do anything with it, emotionally, spiritually, or physically, or financially. Period. I'm not going to feel guilty about that. I'm going to stay on my side of the street. That's what I've grown. That's what I've learned. And that's what I teach you guys how to do. You got to get rid of this guilt. Like, I don't want to seem masculine, or I don't want to seem like I'm being a gold digger, or like I'm doing this, or like I'm doing, who you trying to please. People pleasing is killing you. Worrying about what other people are thinking about you is killing you. And you got sick women, I don't know all these terms like catch me, what do they call it? Catch me, or a pick me stud or a pick me man, a pick me woman or something like that. I don't understand all that. I don't. I'm not going to pretend that I do. All I know is that whether you use me as your transformational coach, we all, as black women, whether we are lesbian, gay, or straight, stud, or femme, or, non-binary, it does not matter. We have to get together collectively, and we have to create a strong foundation in order for us to survive this onslaught, because I am so tired of it being trendy to unalive black women. So tonight, I'm at work. I'm at work right now. There's a football game going on. No big deal. And it also shows how people have stopped listening, right? And so, but when you're dealing, and I've talked to you guys about narcissistic cultures, and I know everything that I say is going to be seen as racist because I am being specific as to what culture, because I see the growth, I see the expansion. And the hardest thing for us who are seers, the hardest thing for us who are seers, Phoenix's Rising Academy, is when we see things happening and it goes directly against programming, it goes directly against um, what is politically correct, right? And sometimes what's politically correct can be deemed politically correct literally overnight. Like, I can point to years of where it wasn't trendy to say such a thing. Now it's trendy to not say, where we used to say illegals because they were illegal. Illegal is an illegal immigrant is defined as somebody who has not gone through, taken the appropriate steps to get documented and get the permission to work in our country. That's all it means, right? But when narcissists don't want you knowing about what they're doing and who they're giving benefits to, and when you always know who is in power and control by what you can say about them, okay? And I'm not going to say too. I'm going to say what I need to say, but I'm not going to delve into it. I've gone into it in other videos, but because I've had um, personal encounters with this certain culture, and they it's getting dangerous. So because when you can't talk about your feelings, when you have to watch what you say, a lot of people are so, oh, well, you don't have to use big words, you don't have to use this. You better get a damn dictionary and you better learn some fucking big words. You better learn how to articulate yourself instead of sounding like a 3-year-old writing in chicken scratch. You better. You better start using your brain, because that's what it amounts to. When you read, you increase your brain cells because you're reading something new, so it's connecting in the dots. All this I turned off today because I was like, I feel like I'm getting so stupid. Because when I'm texting or I'm writing, I either use the microphone or I have them, anticipate what it is I'm going to say, and then the word pops up and I pick the right word, right? I turn that stuff off because I want to get back to the olden days. That's what I said last night in my meditation. I said, you know what? I want to get back to reading a book. I want to get back to only having one job. I want to get back to where it was trending to have just self-love and self-peace, have peace in your home or whatever. Because now everything is in chaos. But people are quibbling over whether you use a big word or not, and a big word signifies that you're trying to be better than everybody else. That's absolutely immature and stupid. Sometimes people are their own worst enemy. So again, after this, I'm listening to this, and I'm saying, gosh, you guys, we really need to get going. And I see all these videos out now Not a lot, but I see a few videos out about, like one of the queen maker. This woman's calling herself the queen maker, and I'm not debating on whether she is or isn't. I don't care. But I don't like. My spidey senses smells a rat, and I will. You guys can quote me on this later. You know, like I hope so. She says a lot of good things, but it's some yeah. Anyway, I'm not gonna go all into that, but so after watching this rose stuff and realizing that this is a trend to devalue any black woman, so you can, because what a narcissist does is they will make people who believe you seem as think that you're crazy, because at first you may think, oh, okay, okay, so here's what happened and here's what I did, right? And you're just waiting. So it turns out to be okay, and everything gets solved. But see, that chaps the narcissist hide. And what the narcissist does is the narcissist is fuming inside. You won't see it on the outside because that mask of being a charismatic, reliable, easy to get along with individual is tightly, placed. But what they will do, they will seethe behind the scenes. And I don't know if I've said it in this in other lives because I've been on TikTok so much. But what they will do, because I have a manager, I'm not involved with her. So managers are, I'd work events security. So the manager, I don't know how or why she became obsessed with me, right? Because you see narcissists, again, I keep telling you guys, narcissists can smell us. They can smell the purity, they can smell the sweetness of the grace of God on us. They can smell it. And I, uh, I was just working, and here this woman comes. Every time I look at her, there's an energy around her that's so intense and so angry, and is I don't know where the fear comes from. I don't know what her agenda really is, but it's creepy, and it always makes me sick to my stomach. So, but I notice that everywhere she tries to place herself so she can watch me, right? She tries to place herself so she can watch me. But one thing I've noticed, because she did it the other night, and I worked a double. I worked 12 hours. And I'm watching, and she's positioning herself, and she's staring right at me. She always wants to stare at me. I have no idea why she's staring, right? I have no idea. But what gets me is that she'll always talk down to me to other people, and I've done nothing to her. So and what narcissists, what cluster B personalities have the ability to do is to literally, they are the epicenter, and their negativity literally pulsates outside of them and starts killing all the positivity, all the harmony around them. Okay? And so we're usually the empaths, the earth angels, the healers from generation to generation to generation. We're the ones who have to put it all back together. We're the ones that have to heal that environment. So never think, like I said the Psalms, I'm gonna say the Psalms, I'm working a 12-hour shift. So once this football game is over and I can do what I need to do without being harassed, which I'll tell you guys later about. But because I may not have a job after this, and I'm so sick of it. Um, I'm done. But so just look forward to get on my TikToks, get on all my social media. All you have to do is at Phoenix's ES Rising Academy, and and you'll you'll find me. You'll find me on Instagram. You'll find me on TikTok. And actually, I have Phoenix's Rising Academy 2, just the number 2 at the end. So the regular at Phoenix's Rising Academy and number 2. That's my backup channel, because they keep trying to give me strikes for telling the truth, and it's really because I'm the type of person who is very direct. I'm direct. There's no, to me, even when I think I'm mincing words, I'm not mincing words. You know what I mean? So it just, that's why I don't listen to what people say about my vocabulary or whatever. But so this woman, they have the ability to get under, get people to like switch on you because they're very adamant. And this woman is very, I've felt that energy before where it's very direct, it's kind of cold, but it's an agitated kind of energy, right? But it's a controlled agitation where they want because they can't flip out, right? Because inside they're really seething. Like this woman, every time she comes around me, she's seething and she's talking about me to other people. Like she was talking about me to another woman. I don't know this woman. I don't know this manager. I have never worked with this manager. And as a matter of fact, every time this manager comes by, because she has been called out not by me, but by others for being racist and micromanaging me. Like for some reason, she wants to have control. Narcissists want to have control. So if you're at work and you all of a sudden notice that somebody is focused on you too much, like she's asked somebody what happened with the situation that was already taken care of because the big boss came out. She had nothing to do with it, but she was just nosy, wanting to see what I was doing, like totally obsessed over what I'm doing, and I have no idea why. Because I've ignored this woman. That's the only thing that you could do with a narcissist like that, especially at work. And it sucks because they're the ones. It's not God pushing you back, but God will tell you to leave an environment, to leave a job because this person is not going to stop. Like God told me to leave because they were not going to stop. So we had to move. And it's been a lot better. It hasn't stopped it because this person is still what? Obsessed. Not cluster B personalities do not like to lose. Black men who are cluster B personalities do not like to lose. So what do they do? Just like this manager does. They're using social media. Because anytime, one thing I've noticed with black people, anytime we want to sacrifice each other, there's open doors galore for that. But anytime we want to uplift each other here in America, which is why we need to get out, in my opinion. But if you can't, get some skills, because I'm probably not going to be one of those ones who are going to be able to get out of America because I've been sabotaged. Because again, narcissists don't like losing, and how dare you try and run away when, you know what I mean? They feel like they got to catch up and surpass you. Because in their minds, you're in a competition together, right? Like I guess in the manager's mind, she's in a competition with me to see who's the biggest and who's the baddest. Because with us, we naturally grow. We naturally are authoritative, right? So, uh, anyway, but using that, so what black men seem to be doing, and so when they're devaluing us, other cultures are seeing this. Some are hopping on the trend with black men, supporting them and unaliving us emotionally, spiritually, physically, intellectually, financially, because they want to. Some of them have what used to be called in Stevie Wonder's song, he's got jungle fever, she's got jungle fever. Okay, they're fascinated by us, but they come from a culture. If you're dealing with Latinos, the males in that culture do not like what they would call mouthy women, or women who are independent. What? Because, and I talked to a lady last night at my job. I asked her, I said, hey, I've always been wondering, what is this thing? And I was just asking her because I want to know about the culture. I want to know, I want a deeper understanding, because we are inundated with people from El Salvador, from people from Tijuana, from people from, Brazil, Chile, all the, you know what I mean? It's not just Mexico. It seems like all the Latin countries are being dropped off here, and that's not, anything racist about it. There's newspapers articles, you can go look it up. But I'm just like, they're not fleeing their countries, but some of them are, like El Salvador. I could see why you would flee. Mexico, I'm, I'm not sure, right? I don't know the politics. I don't know the history of the country, but since we do have an influx of Latino or Hispanic cultures that are coming in, and one thing that I noticed is that they're carrying their culture with them, and it's some of it is directly um, uh, basically there it's a fight for them to have their way. Okay, pardon me, sorry, I had a cough drop. Them to have their way in our country because there's a sense of entitlement. So basically, as I've said in other podcasts, and there are narcissistic countries, there are narcissistic races where they, well, it's about loyalty, don't say anything, but then they'll say, I just had a Hispanic police officer tell me to snitch on somebody, and that if I didn't, that I needed to move. Like that's exactly what he said. I needed to move if me and the other anybody who didn't want to participate in the crime-free program, right? And it was just the weirdest thing because I'm like, wait a minute, did this guy? Because I was wondering why he kept kind of circling around, beating around the bush, and then he got kind of low voiced, and he was telling people, well, people are you don't if you don't want to help us with this program, you don't need to be here. You don't need to be here. You know, and so I was just like, whoa, 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 and so that was a red flag for me, and I got up and left. Okay, because if I said something to this guy, if I told him reminded him of what country he was in, which is my right, if I reminded him of what country he was in, I would have been seen as a racist, right? Which is very bizarre for a black person to be called racist. Not that we can't be racist, not that some of us don't have the money to act on our hatred, okay? Because that's what's happening right now. Only we're getting attacked in housing, we're getting attacked in food, we're getting attacked in healthcare, right? We're getting attacked in just our bodies, and sexually we're getting attacked. We're being essayed, right? So, um, so what I thought about was these with the tools to recognizing. I'm skipping around because I am at work and I just heard the announcement, so that's what you guys are hearing is the game going on, and so I'm trying to just make sure everything's okay. But so when you have within our own community people that are working against unity in the community, who are working against the protection. Like somehow, I don't know how it came to be that black women, and well, I know how it came to be because a lot of black women have had to do this alone. Some black women were raised by Generation Xers or millennials, and we had to do a lot of things as Generation Xers. We had to do a lot of things on our own. You know, there was a word today on one of these channels that I'm subscribed to, and they give out words, and I forget what it was, but it meant that we study on our own. And they were listing like Abraham Lincoln and some people who wrote the Declaration of Independence, how they studied Benjamin Franklin, how they studied on their own, and that's what I do. Right? I can ask a question and it's just to try and get some leads, not really for anybody to know the answer to, just to say, oh, well, look here, look that, okay, so then I'm going to go do it. You know, some guy said, hey, go and go and do this and get this, and I said, okay, I'm going to try. You know, but then I didn't realize how much it was going to take me that I needed to study and do such and such. So anyway, um, so we learned how to be independent. We learned how to memorize things. We learned how to advocate for ourselves. And a lot of those women, these black women who are coming up now, they're like, wow, okay, I don't want to have that toxic lifestyle. And I think that's what it is that black women have separated themselves from the toxicity of in the community for survival, number one, and also to thrive, because there are black women who are geniuses, who are entrepreneurs, who are CEOs, And they're doing it on them by themselves. It's not that black men haven't done it, because black men were running away with white women or Asian women at the time, right? It's like, oh no, I'm still black. I mean, you could not take a black man's blackness away from him, right? They was always do that fist bump and, oh yeah, brother. Remember the hoteps? Before there was a hotep, there was, just these brothers that would be, I'm black and I'm proud, because it was a branding that they had branded themselves with it, right? And so I think that's where black men and women have kind of diverged. But now, since those black men aren't receiving that energy for them to harvest, because they were dating other women, right? And I mean, as much as white women have been able to, almost immaculately imitate black women. I mean, look at Kelly Clarkson when they rebranded her, when she came out with Love So Soft and all this stuff. She started us out as country, and she even said on one of those, the TV show, the whatever, I forget, the singing TV show. Anyway, she's like, oh yeah, they taught me that, and they taught about, I learned about Nefertiti and stuff. So basically, she admitted, I got schooled in how to be you. So now she has her own little TV show, and her own little talk show and stuff like that. Good, more power to her. I mean, then you got Adele, you got Zeba. I mean, black men are going goo goo gaga over this big black woman, this big, well, white black woman, but they don't like big black women. But you like somebody who plays her. You see how the mind screw, right? There's retardation there. It's not that, and I thought about this on my way to work, actually, because I was planning on doing this podcast, and I didn't know how to really present it. And I kind of do Hail Marys a lot, but this one I feel like I'm doing a lot. But I want my sisters to know that I'm here. And somebody said the other day, you're strict, and that's good. And I'm like, I hope so, because I've almost lost my life too many times. I've almost lost my life too many times. I've lost my job for too many times. The last job that I had, I lost, and it made me homeless. I had to go to a women's shelter, and I just moved here when God told me to start over again. The struggle's real. It's not that I don't want to be in a nice home, that I don't want to have a big backyard with a patio. I got my vision board in my mind, you know? But I keep seeing it over and over again, and I'm realizing this is playing out over and over and over again. These are these patterns. I, for once and I'm grateful, because when you do the work, Phoenixes, you get to see that you're not repeating the patterns that then maybe you never did, but you just went along with the pattern. You just went along. So I said the 100th monkey. So the 100th black male who talks about unaliving or has unalived a black woman, now the other races who are interested in black women but may not like certain characteristics of a black woman, and they're thinking, okay, if black men themselves are trying to condition their women into being submissive and subservient to them by unaliving them or by essaying them and then unaliving them, then, and I know, trigger warning, you guys, I'm sorry for that, but I'm just being real, and I know it scares people, but come on. You're going to have to hold on, because what's coming next is not going to be pretty. And I want you guys to survive so bad. I want you to do more to survive. I want you to control the situation without even really lifting a finger, just by the word play that you use. Just by the look in your eyes. Because it's possible. I just did it tonight. Does not mean that I won't get fired from my job. It just means that dude that saw something that he knew that he was too small for. Right? So, when black men continue to act as gatekeepers, and I think it's the desperation of black men, insecure black men, wounded black men who will probably always be a Toys R Us kid. It's not all of them, And of course, but and people say, oh well, when he's dating a white woman, but you know what? Black women are starting to do that too. They've been doing that too. It just hasn't been shown because it upset the narcissistic black men. Anything that upsets a cluster B personality, i.e., a narcissist, a sociopath, a psychopath, antisocial, histrionic, borderline personality, bipolar, um, uh, narcissist, um, they squelch. Anytime a narcissist or cluster B personality is wrong, they will stonewall justice. I've had that happen too many times. So what I'm afraid of is that this trend is caught on with Latino men. Okay, so when they see a black woman, so here's my story for tonight: is when they saw me. I served in the war. Okay, well, more power to you, bud. Anyway, so what happened tonight is, so I'm patrolling and I patrol just, a straight line. It's not a big deal. There is an event that is happening. And uh, so I say, maybe I was a bit too persistent because I really didn't want to go around because I thought there was only street. I didn't realize how big the parking lot was for this football field, soccer field, football field, whatever you want to call it. I didn't realize how big it was. So here comes the train again. So I didn't realize how big it was. There it goes. Oh my God, yeah. It's like, oh, I forgot. No. Anyway, so I didn't realize how big the event space was, and so what I was thinking is like, dude, I'm not going to be able to go around because I can't take this on the street going 20 miles an hour. That's 25 miles, well maybe 25, but 20 miles an hour, 22 miles is how far it goes, how fast it goes. And so, I was like, and plus I don't have permission to take this off site. That would be off site. And I don't want to get in trouble for it. So is there a way that I can see through? And, there was a no. I asked to speak to a supervisor because maybe a supervisor would know. Well, the guy who came out was a guy who let me through the first time I came through. And I'm like, okay. And then they started to get frustrated with me or whatever and stopped listening to me. And I don't remember quite what ensued, and I was like, okay, well, no, So the more I kept asking for a supervisor, the more he kept saying what was coming. So that's what it was. It was the other male's attitude, and this male ended up laying hands on me, and I ended up telling him, "You need to get your hands off of me. You don't ever touch." Because when I pulled up, he stood in front of the cart before I could stop. He got in front of it. Then the man at the oh God, what was his name? It's the supervisor. I'm not gonna say his name. The supervisor had got turned back around because he didn't like a comment that I made because I was like, dude, you're bullying me. So everybody was charging me and was basically just talking over me and whatever. Now I recognize that as how Hispanics deal with each other, right? And that's not something that you're not going to talk over me. If you don't want to listen, then I can go call my supervisor, which is what I ended up doing, and they want to pursue it because it's like, number one, you don't come in front of a vehicle. Number two, you don't put your hands on one of my guards. And if not to protect me, it's just to protect the company. You know what I mean? I'm not that important. But what what they were mad about was that I had told them that they didn't have a right to cross my boundaries, that they were bullying me. And it just started coming out, and he was like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" So when he charged me, the supervisor himself for that company, it's a different company, and he came around and he charged me, and this is what I'm talking about. I looked him dead in his eyes, and I got out of the cart because you're not gonna, somebody was faking like they were trying to hold him back, but I stared him down in his eyes and I was like, dude, if I'm your Huckleberry, you're not, and I told him, you're not gonna bully me. This is not Mexico. And that's what he got offended by. It's not a racist term, though. I didn't call you a racial slur. I said, just reminded you, this is the United States of America. You don't get to just beat up on women like you do in Mexico, because I have heard stories from Mexican co-workers about the reason why they don't say anything to anybody in Mexico literally is because somebody will go and kill you. I was told of 2 different stories where somebody tried to help a woman, and, like Roe, they was talking about, oh, well, we don't want to help her because I'm going to protect my family. I can kind of understand that, because you don't know how off kilter somebody is. You don't know about anybody's mental illness. You really don't. Like, I can recognize something if you're not a seer, right? If you're not in tune with yourself because you haven't done the work, you're not going to know what's happening, because you're going off of old patterns within yourself and trying to old tools to try and deal with something that is too serious. So you're coming from, your 5-year-old self, your 15-year-old self. You're not coming from a grown-up adult self protecting your inner child. So when this guy charged me, because he literally charged me and came at me, and I stepped out of the cart and I said, I was like, come through. Come through. I'm not a badass, and I'm pretty weak, and I gained a lot of weight. But it's just that, and as soon as he saw in my eyes that I was ready for him, and that nobody there was going to save him from trying to hurt me for speaking truth to him and setting a boundary, he turned right around and told, oh, go, get out of here. So it's not, and that's not bragging, because I don't like putting hands on people. I don't like feeling like I really don't. I honestly to God don't. I don't go around starting trouble, but I'm not going to shy away from it. That's what I used to do. That's part of people pleasing. When you hide, I am a hider. I would freeze and hide and just wait until everything got over with. Right? That's exactly what I would do. Let me wait until everything gets over, and then, I'll come in, I'll pop my gums like I did something when I didn't. I hid. That's part of people pleasing, when you don't speak up for yourself. There is a time, there's a spirit of discernment. You have to know when to say it and what to say. There are times where you do have to chalk it up, but you chalk it up with your head up. You don't chalk it up with your head down. There's a total difference from a spiritual perspective. There's a total difference. So I'm not bragging about, jumping out of the cart and hey man, no, because that defeats the purpose. It was like, well, if you're going to charge me, there's 6 of us. I told them there's 6 of you guys trying to come for me for just asking to pass through. So what it became was, here I am, this fat black woman that is at their gate telling them, hey, don't put your hands on me. Don't, all I'm asking you is a question. I'm done with the question now. It's okay. But they literally made a molehill into a mountain. And I had to call my boss and say, or call the scheduling and say, hey, this is what's going on, right? And scheduling, unfortunately, has not seen fit to give me the documentation. When you are on this path, you will still find that there's resistance, because that's why people say, you work on yourself, because when you work on yourself, and let's think, you got a brain, right? You got a brain, and you are thinking new things, right? You broke generational curses, which means that you do things differently. You're not repeating the old toxic patterns in relationships and health and eating and intellectually or financially, you're not repeating those old things, because that's what it really means to break a generational curse and to take back your birthright. Your birthright is wealth. Your birthright is success. Your birthright is happiness. Your birthright is owning corporations. Your birthright is only owning real estate, owning land, owning property, owning countries. That's your birthright. Your birthright is to have wealth overflowing, and if you want to loan it, you can loan it, because you know that the universe is going to give you send it back to you multiplied in kind, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So blessed be unto thee. So that's, you know what I'm saying. So when you're coming from a different perspective, when you're also think of it. So when you're already renewing your mind, which means that you're growing new trees in your brain, thicker, stronger, healthier, right? Longer lasting. When you're growing that, think about the consciousness, the collective. You have a tarot reader. Oh, this is a collective reading, which a lot of times they just do that because they're lazy. But that's another thing. But the true collective consciousness is all of us doing our shadow work, going on our healing journey. And sometimes the healing journey consists of healing our city, healing our town, healing our households, healing as well as healing ourselves. But when we heal ourselves, we are that brain cell that is being regrown into a healthier, more vibrant, nutrient soil. So that's why you have narcissists who are coming at us from left and right. That guy came at me because he was like, oh, any gesture that I made, it literally, anything that I said was all of a sudden, you're a loudmouth black woman, and even the black men who were there. Even the black men who were there were egging him on. We're egging all of them on, and that's not okay. So no, I have been thinking to myself for the longest time that I need to get another job. I need to basically start my businesses again, you know. But I wanted to do it with some money, so we'll see what goes on. We'll see what happens, But again, they're not. It's like I said. So they don't want you to be one of those mini collective brain cells that are healthy, that are strong, and because that way it changes the pattern. It doesn't matter what kind of weapons of mass destruction these guys have to create earthquakes or to burn down, places like Maui or anything else like that. It won't matter, because our collective healing will be that energy that blocks, and you know what I'm saying, that blocks all that negativity. And there is an attack, there is an onslaught, and on black women, there's somebody who wants black women to know that they are going to be targeted if they do not submit. And I think that sucks. And I think it's scary, and it hurts me, because I've seen the black women who have already, there are black women who are literally being targeted. Literally being targeted. So now there's an increase in black male serial killers. And as I keep telling people, you keep wondering about the color of the person instead of the spirit. That comes like very last. That comes extremely last. But I want people to my services, like I said, I offer empathic listening, $35 for 40 bucks. I mean, you could book it on Fiverr, and I'll get it, and we'll make it happen. If you want to continue working with me, you can do my program From Sealed to Healed. Comes with a workbook, weekly video calls, whether it be through Discord or Zoom or whatever. Because I'm not liking Zoom, because they record your information, and I need it to be private. So it'll either be a Google call or through Discord. We'll go that route. But that's an 8-week program, and what you do is you learn about these cluster B personalities, these demons in people, which makes this cocktail of character disturbances. Okay. And you learn the difference between a character disturbance and a mental illness. You'll learn their tactics. You'll learn their traits. I'll give you examples. You get a workbook. You get a T-shirt. You get a mug. Saying Phoenix is Rising Academy. I mean, And then there's another program that I'm gonna start once that's successful, and that's teaching you guys words of power, and we're gonna learn about mantra. I think that it's okay. Hinduism uh, does not take away from your being a Christian. It does not at all. If anything, it enhanced me until I got into this battle. It enhances me still, and it saved my life because I know that there's been a lot that has been hidden from us, and in the Bible it says, they let us confound their speech, right? And that was those cluster B personalities that were like, okay, they're getting too smart, they're learning too much, they're going above us, so let us confound their speech, so that way, you know, we don't have to deal with the competition. A lot of people don't want to deal with the flip and count competition. So, and there's more to come, and I got little workshops that I've already pre-done. It's just putting them up on Fiverr and selling them to you guys. And it's just a digital download. You can also download the workbook if you don't want to take the course, because the course is about $900. It's 4 weeks, of intense working with me, basically, and you'll never regret it. So yeah. Anyway, that I just wanted to share this. I just wanted to talk about this because I see the need. I think people just need. Black women need to start protecting yourself. You do need to start arming yourself. And I want you guys. I want my sisters to get over the fear. Like I got over the fear. I remembered, and I share my story on another podcast. I just don't know what it is, which one it is, because I don't number them at all. Um, but I share my story of the first time, and I wrote a poem about it, and because it's not popular. That's when he said, when people have who has control over you. Black men, the cluster B black male has sold his soul. Where you see them, most of them are closeted bisexuals. They're mimicking another culture, and to get in with just like they did with whiteness back in my day. So when you start mimicking another culture to try and get, in because you don't want to be left out, anybody can say, oh, well, the black woman, my mom is too rough with me, my mom didn't play with me, but my dad was okay, for the line. I did that because that's what the cluster B wants you to think. The cluster B's want you to think that the one parent didn't do something that the other parent did. I found out that both of my parents were screwed up. Like one was not better than the other. Both of them were drug addicted. Both of them are cluster B personalities. That's why they didn't get along together. Both of them, were Aries too. So I didn't know that, but until later. But I mean, geez, pardon me. But it's just time to come together because I'm tired of seeing black women being unalived. And I want to give you as much resources we need to know. I mean, and it's sick and it's sad. Not only do you have this child sex trafficking, but you have, and people say, oh, well, black women are the most wanted. So you're sitting there questioning your worth, but they're taking it from you. You know, one lady whose model daughter was unalived in LA in her apartment. They said when they found her, her leg was up like she was kicking somebody. You know, so and they haven't found the person, and nobody, everybody's, she's like, we're gonna find you, and I pray that they do. I know that they will. They'll find them. But you see how nobody's being prosecuted. The lady who went on a Tinder or a Bumblebee date, they didn't find. He literally left. And the police would not. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And it's disheartening and it's heartbreaking. So I don't want black women. It's like you have to learn to protect yourself. I had to learn to protect myself. I was sitting crying and be like, why doesn't anybody protect me? Why doesn't anybody love me? Because you don't love yourself. Once you love yourself, you're not worried about whoever loves you. And then that way you're not seeming needy, because I notice what you're fiending for, what you want versus what you have. What you want can be pushed back because you're still wanting it. You're still yearning. Stop yearning and give it to yourself. And then people will be attracted to you. But see, here's what they don't tell you. The most toxic people will be attracted to you still until you get that spirit of discernment and you get to see through the mask and you get to recognize what is actually happening. Because when the narcissists and the witchcrafters and all that other kind of stuff, they can sense they can sense that energy, they can sense that light. And like my spiritual mom said, the demons are like a moth to a flame. They will not stop until they consume your light. And I have had to fight that. I know many of us have had to fight having our light go out, having our hope go out. And our hope, and the way that you stop that is by knowing yourself. Once you know yourself, you know God. Because you are very much aware of how God interacts with you, how God answers your prayers, how God speaks to you, through what language and through what media. I've said this several times, and I've noticed that people are starting to jump on this bandwagon. And all I ask is, if you've heard it on my podcast, give me some credit, because I am heavily being shadow banned, and I am tired of it. But that's one reason, because why? I spoke out against the sex offender abuser who has been obsessed with me over 8 years. I mean, it was a total. I ended up by figuring out those, oh my God, she's always been this way, right? But really, it was just 3 years that she's been, like, literally trying to unalive me, And a lot of the things that we go through, it's in American culture, fireworks. A lot of the things that we go through here in America as Black women, and because we are seers, right? They want to conjure up our dead spirits of our ancestors, right? Especially, right? And they wanted, like, they conjured up C.J. Madam Walker to say, how are you a billionaire? What kind of roots? And what I mean? So they conjured up some other lady who was a Black woman who was dear into the white folks did into root work and stuff like this, and and they asked her how to become a millionaire and how they could become a millionaire, and she told them. Right? I mean, there's many examples. I mean, maybe the most drastic, but these guys are sitting there conjuring stuff up, and you're sitting here believing. You got to tune these people out. So you got to tune these people out so that you can listen to your intuition. Because I am tired of seeing my sisters and my mothers and my aunts and my cousins, being taken out, my daughters being taken out by people, because that's what it is. It's pathological envy. It's pathological jealousy. There should never, ever, ever be a fight between trans women and cis women, or even lesbians, right? Or bisexual women. There should not be a fight at all. What are you fighting over? Unless you have some hatred towards femininity. I mean, that's the only thing. Why is there even a discussion? Like, trans women know, Black women know that they are not a biological woman. That's like common sense, but the gaslighting is real. The gaslighting is real. Like, it's weird. Like, it's a way. I mean, people forget that it was signed into law back in the early 2000s that they could deceive the public by using propaganda. So, there's supposed to be an alien invasion coming now after they've released it. It's like, I'm not even paying attention to all that, because we've already known, you've been, again, we find out the information for ourselves, But I just want my sisters, I want my queens to protect themselves. And I think I know that it is time to elevate yourself and to deepen and expand your spirituality. You can't keep sticking to a religion. You can like your church, you can go all to your church, but you need to enhance, because I know that when I got on my journey during, being homeless and whatever, that I found that there was, there was things that I suspected. There was intuition that I'd already known about because I was reading it in books, and in my meditation, God was revealing this stuff to me. But of course, you can't talk about it. The reason why I can't talk to anybody about, I can't talk to people about it is usually what we say. I can't talk to anybody about what I've been through. You could talk to me. One lady posted on talking about, oh, I see spirits. Yep, so do I. you know? And a lot of people are afraid to go on their journey and to clear away all that wreckage of other people and the things that they've done in their past lives, and the generational curses and stuff like that. Because if you clear it out, then what you're going to be enhanced, and you're going to see exactly what the spiritual world is made of. You're going to see it. I remember I was at work, and I have an actual picture that I created in Midjourney, which is an AI, where you can get a lot of your artwork for it. And I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful, but not the picture, because the picture was of the demons that I actually saw. I also got another picture of from Midjourney, um, from the stalker turned demon. She turned herself into a demon. I got a picture because I said, I don't know what I said. I got to look at it. One thing I like about Midjourney is that it won't let you forget your prompts. It'll save your prompt. So whatever you use to get that image, right? You can use that wording again. I don't know if it'll come out the same, but it actually turned into what I saw, what she had let herself become. There was a ritual that she performed to try and unalive me, to literally try and kill me and take over my body. So I think it was some kind of body swap thing. And again, I know that it sounds crazy to people who are not spiritual or supernatural. I know you're too religious. Um, you know, but all throughout the Bible, Paul was casting out demons. Jesus was casting out demons. Everybody saw demons. Everybody saw angels. And everybody thought that they was crazy. But you're going to tell me that I'm crazy. But the very Bible that you read every night and day talks to you about the supernatural. That's okay. That's okay. That's all right. So anyway, yeah, she did a ritual on me, and I ended up creating what it felt like, because I could see it in the spiritual realm, but I couldn't. And this thing was attached to my left side, and it was kind of like a mucusy, bulbous. Like if you guys have ever seen The Blob, it's an old 70s movie, I believe. It's called The Blob. And so look that up, and that's exactly what this thing looked like, but it had a head, and it was like dead. It wasn't, you know what I mean? So I don't know. And these guys whoo, girl. And a lot of times these guys don't know what they're doing. I am dealing with people who are conscious of it, because it's a Mexican gang that's how, and it's gangs in general. It doesn't matter if you're a Blood, a Crip, or a Norteños, or a Serranos, or whatever. They're using witchcraft. They're using the occult to dominate. They're using the occult to, to kill and unalive, and through behind the scenes, because they don't want to get their hands dirty. And they will traumatize their own members to create that compartmentalization in the brain, to create that altar, right? That's what they'll do. So, yeah, I've always said that, when you guys do your coaching with me, you guys want to work on this course, it may seem intense. I'm not going to go that fast, unless you guys tell me, hey, I'd like to do it in a group setting, but if, just one-on-one, that's fine too. But, people are going to say, hey, this might not be, this might be too much for us, this might be too much for me. Can you slow it down? Sure. I can slow it down, you bet. You bet. Because you basically get an update session, and I've thought about adding one-on-one sessions. But anyway, you get the course is meaningful, but I need those people who are really ready, not people who just want to play around, like you want to play around with your life. Your life is so much important, and there's so much, and especially so much for you to come if you do the work. And there's a lot of, if you just allow yourself to heal and transform. I hear a lot of people talking about, oh, I'm in my higher self, and I went through this and da, da, da. No, I mean, not everybody has to have their life threatened like I have. Not everybody has to have that. I didn't think that I was going to have that either. Like, for I just had my birthday, and they tried to unalive me on my birthday. And if not unalive me, just try and cause anxiety, because they didn't want me. From what I gathered, the energy was, we don't want you going anywhere. You know what I mean? It's like, it's none of your business. So you have people. This is why these beautiful black women, these beautiful black girls are being unalived, is because they're happy. They are not a product of their environment. You know, that's what I was going to say. I was trying to think of this saying that I had, and basically, it's like, you're not a product of your environment. You know, and there was something else I was going to say about it, but yeah, it's basically, you're just not a product of your environment, and these guys are mad. They're mad about it. Like, I know my abuser is mad about, like, and I didn't date this person. So you can be abused. There are different types of abuse. You don't have to necessarily be married to the person or date the person at all. It can be they can have a love interest in you, and you can reject them. And from that rejection comes, I mean, whew, comes hell. So anyway, that's all that I have to share, you guys. I hope that this really helped. And sorry for the distractions, because I am at work, as you can see. So I thought to say that, because I really desire to help black women, and that's why I'm here. That's why I post what I post, even though it gets shadow banned, and people, either that or people are uncomfortable because it's either too direct, or whatever. Um, but take what you will and leave the rest. If you guys resonate with this, please let me know by commenting in the comments. And yeah, so I'm going to head out and do my rounds again. And hopefully we'll meet again. So love you guys. And remember, Phoenixes, your blessings are in your ashes. Rise.